Hello and welcome. This is Martin Morgan with Repair Shop Websites, and I want to thank all of you that are with us today for this excellent webinar, 4 easy cost-free ways to bring in more new customers, with our special guest presenter, Bob Cooper from Elite. A quick housekeeping message before we turn it over to Bob to start. If you have questions, and I know Bob's presentations are always very good, and he covers things in deep detail, but he's also a really good expert in the industry, and you've got the chance to potentially ask him questions here. If you have questions either during the presentation or at the end, please either use the question box on your user interface with GoToWebinar or use the chat function on there as well. I know he's very welcoming the questions and would be happy to hear anything that you had to ask. So I encourage you either during the webinar or at the end to utilize either the questions function or the chat function to ask any questions that you may have. And with that, I want to introduce Bob. I always enjoy reading this story about him as an introduction, but Bob started his career as a technician in a struggling Cleveland, Ohio transmission shop that he later purchased and built into one of the most successful shops in America. As a successful shop owner and experienced drag racer, he began performing work for many of the nation's top fuel racers. It wasn't long after he and his family sold their Cleveland home and business, loaded up their race car, and moved to Southern California, where he developed shops that quickly gained national recognition. Having the passion to help other shop owners, in 1990, Bob founded Elite, a company that helps auto repair shop owners build more profitable, successful businesses in the most affordable, effective, and ethical way. And if any of you have heard Bob or met Bob or had the chance to come in contact with him, you know all of that is definitely true. And he's really trying to pay forward the success that he has experienced, and that is seen throughout his organization, Elite, an excellent organization with lots of great people. With that, I want to welcome Bob and again, encourage you all to ask questions. Up to you, Bob.
Yeah, thank you so much, Martin. Let's see if I could get my PowerPoint to work here as needed. I'm trying, and let's try this. Maybe this will work. There, I'm just going to do this manually if I need to. Hey, I think the first thing to do is to thank each and every one of you for joining us this morning or this afternoon, depending on the time zone at your end. I realize your time is very, very super valuable, and the fact that you're willing to give it up and spend it with me today is an honor, to say the least. I would also like to thank you, Martin, for your very kind words. And just to add on a little bit to that bio that he was kind enough to humble me with, it really wasn't me that built those really cool auto repair businesses. It really was all of the really remarkable people that I work with. If there's one thing that I learned over the years, your success in business is going to be limited or fueled by the quality of the people that work with you. So thanks so much for those kind words, Martin. And lastly, before we get started, one other thing that I think is important for all of you that are joining us today to really understand. At Elite, we're pretty cautious about who we bring into our lives, not just with employees and clients, but companies that we share a screen with or share services or products with, companies that we have relationships with. And we came across Repair Shop Solutions a few years ago, and Mike Bowden, our director of marketing, actually did. And he was very intrigued and very impressed with the caliber of the company, the caliber of the people, and most importantly, the ethics that they have. So what I can tell you is that if you are currently a client of theirs, you're in really not good hands, you're in great hands with them. If you're not a client of theirs, then I would really encourage you to do so, because we did our due diligence. We did a lot of due diligence. We talked to a lot of people before taking any steps forward with them. And everything that we had heard from the entire industry was nothing but positive. So congratulations, Martin, to you and your entire team. You guys are doing an amazing job, and you certainly do care about people. So thank you to you as well. Who we are, for those of you that aren't familiar with our company, I'll be very brief here. I think the best way of distilling it down is what we do. And what we do here is how we live is what I'm talking about, the principles that we live by. And as it says on the screen, we're simply stated a company that lives by a principle of never putting money ahead of people. The more you look at us, for those of you that aren't familiar with this, you'll see that this is really our DNA. This is who we are. What do we do? How do we help people? Well, we actually help independent auto repair shop owners like each and every one of you in great part build more successful businesses and reach the goals that you have in your personal life, not just your business. And at the same time, we're interested in making sure that you have a really positive impact on your employees and all of your customers and your communities as well. We feel that success does not stop with the client. The success goes to every life they touch as well. So that's sort of who we are and what we do. What is the objective today? Well, one of the things I'd love to be able to do with you, I know guys and gals are always looking for ways to bring in more of the right kind of customers, and I thought that it would be appropriate to share some tips with you that you could put to use, I mean literally today, things that you could start doing ASAP and things that you'll be really pleased with how it's going to bring you the results that you're looking for. So that's the objective. So how do you best benefit from this webinar? Well, I'm going to hope and pray that you're uninterrupted. I know it's tough in your business. I know as somebody that owns shop, I know what it's like. You're going to get interrupted. So anything that you can do to try to tune out the rest of the world would be in your best interest. Certainly take notes on what you hear. There will be a link set out. This webinar is going to be recorded. You're going to receive a link to it. So, but regardless, I would still encourage you to take notes so you can put this information to use immediately, but even before you get the link. I'm going to ask that you choose at least one of the tips that I share with you this morning or today, and I'm going to ask that you apply it today. Again, put it to work immediately. During our session, as Martin said earlier, all that you'll need to do, if you take a look, you'll find a question box over in the right-hand corner. There's a dashboard there, and if you click on a little questions, you can type in questions, and then we'll do everything that we can do to answer that question for you as well as we can, live-wise, while I'm online here, because we'll have a Q&A session in a little bit here. If I can't get to your questions, we'll certainly still have your questions, and I'll make sure that either I or someone in our organization follows up with you and answers whatever question that you might have. So pay attention to that little panel that's over on the right-hand side, and it says Q&A. The other thing that I'm going to ask you to do is take advantage of our complimentary resources and our special offer. Stick around to the end. I think you're going to be really super pleased if you do with what we're going to make available to you. So stick around. I'm confident that you're going to enjoy what you discover. Lastly, there's a little orange arrow on the upper right-hand side of your screen somewhere on the dashboard. And if you click on that little guy, it's going to get rid of that entire dashboard if you'd like to do so, and you'll be able to just focus in on the screen. So a little bit of a laundry list here of things that we need to do. So let's talk about some of the things that you could do to really bring in these guys and gals that you're looking for, the customers that you'd like to see. Well, the first thing, method number one, and by the way, everything that I'm about to share with you, it works. And the reason that I could say that emphatically is these are all techniques that I developed when I was still in the auto repair business at my shops, number one. Number two, these are techniques that we share with our clients, and we get feedback all the time that these work. So method number one, the first thing you have to do is identify your existing songbirds. Well, how do you do that? Well, I've always been intrigued on how most shop owners, when a new customer comes in, they'll say something like, well, how did you find us? Or what brought you in today? So they'll ask all these questions, and their intents are good. I get that. But one of the things that I discovered that was very intriguing, and I'm a guy that invested a lot of money in advertising over the years, and we put money into radio and the TV, and I mean, every media that was out there, we invested in. And I was often intrigued at the point of car delivery. A lot of times customers would come in, pick up their car. They had told us originally that they saw us on television or heard us on a radio or whatever, saw one of our ads. And then at the point of car delivery, they would tell us that they were actually referred to us by one of their friends. They'd say, you know, Mike, a good friend of mine, Mike Smith, told me about you guys, and I'm really glad that I came here. You did a really great job. And then I was intrigued in the fact that I thought, man, oh man, I wish I would have known that right up front, that Mike sent him in. Boy, if he wouldn't have mentioned that, I would have never known that. So the thing that I'm going to encourage each and every one of you to do, if you're not already doing this, I'm going to encourage you to really consider the value of doing this. Sit down with your advisors and tell them whenever a first-time customer comes in, what they absolutely have to do is ask that customer, by the way, do you mind if I ask who referred you to us? Now, what does that mean? That means even if that customer has a coupon that you did a direct mail, let's say, that you sent out, and the customer comes in and he's got that coupon, he says, yeah, I'd like to get the service. I got this in the mail. regardless, you still need to ask them, by the way, do you mind if I ask who referred you to us? Now, why do you need to do that? Well, the benefits are just unbelievable. So I'm just going to share a couple of the really important benefits with you. Number one, first of all, if they were referred to you, you're going to find their heart rate is going to drop immediately. By that, I mean their anxiety is going to go down immediately. Because as soon as they look at you and say, well, I was actually referred to you by Martin Morgan. He's a dear friend of mine. Then you could respond and say, oh my gosh, now how do you know Martin? Well, he's been a friend of mine for 5 years. Oh my gosh, well, he's been a client of ours for 8 years or whatever. Now you start building rapport. Now you're also bringing Martin to the top of their mind again. They forgot about Martin until you ask them that. Now you're bringing Martin to the top of their mind again, which makes them feel more comfortable with you and more open to the recommendations that you're going to be providing to them. So this is powerful. The other thing that it does is it sends a really strong message to all of the customers that you get a lot of referrals, which I'm sure that you do. So in all cases, always ask customers, by the way, do you mind if I ask who referred you to us, regardless of whether or not a specific media was their call to action. Now, here's the other thing that you have to do, and it ties into the subheadline that says identify your existing songbirds. Once you know who that guy or gal is, as soon as you know, they give you their name and they say, well, I was referred to you by Martin Morgan. What you need to do is you need to bear this in mind. Your customers trust you with their car, obviously. They also trust you with their wallet. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, they spend money with you. That means they have faith in you that you're going to take good care of them, you're going to take good care of their car, and you're going to be fair with them. But what most people won't trust service advisors with, most people, I'm choosing my words, is their friends and family. Reason being, because if you make a mistake on their car, they can recover. If you make a mistake and charge them the wrong amount, they can recover. But you know what? If they send a friend into a dentist or a doctor or in for auto repair or something like that, and if a mistake is made, that's going to haunt them for a long time to come. So when I was still in the auto repair business, that thought really captured me. And I thought, you know what? This customer is kind enough to send me his most precious asset, which is his friends or his family members, people that he works with. And what my competitors would do, at best, what my competitors would do is maybe send him a thank you card. At best is all that they would do. And I thought, you know what, that's not the right thing to do. So what you need to do, like it says up on the screen, pick up the phone at the end of the day and call those people. Give them a call. Hey, Martin, do you have just a moment? This is Bob Cooper calling from Elite Auto Service. Well, look, thanks for taking my call. I know that your time is valuable. Martin, the reason that I wanted to chat with you is I wanted to let you know that Stephen Sladek came in this morning and he had a little problem with his Toyota, and he mentioned that he was recommended by you. Now, Martin's going to respond and he'd say, oh, I've known Stephen for a long time. And then I'll tell him, well, we found out that it was only a minor repair that needed to be done. So now, what's the outcome of this? Well, I'm actually rewarding his behavior. He's kind enough to send somebody to me. I'm rewarding that by giving him a call and letting him know how much I appreciate his trust in us by sending the customer to us. So this is huge. And what's really ironic, if you do what I'm asking you to do to make these calls, you're going to be amazed at how many times before that customer lets you off the phone, that did the referral, before he even hangs up the phone, you know what he's going to say to you? By the way, isn't my wife's car about due for a scheduled service? So it's really funny how well this works. So method number one, I'm going to ask each and every one of you to identify who those songbirds are and then reward the behavior. When they send somebody in, pick up the phone, give them a call, and just give them a genuine thank you from the bottom of your heart. Watch how your world changes. Watch how your world changes. And as we all know, people that are referred to you, they're pre-sold on you. They already believe in you. Their friend didn't just say, go see Bob at Elite Auto Repair. They said, go see Bob at Elite Auto Repair. Those guys have been taking care of my cars for years, are really good at what they do. They will sing your song. So guys and gals, don't miss this one. This is a great takeaway. Number two, turn your top customers into salespeople. Now, here's another one that I want you to just let this bounce around in your head a little bit, all right? One of the things that a lot of shop owners will do is they will offer their customers incentives. They'll say, if you send a new customer, I'll give you a complimentary oil service or $25 or whatever. And I'm really not a supporter of that, because what that tells me is the customers might feel, not saying that this is the case, but they might feel as though it's cheapening it. They might feel as though they're selling their friends to you. So the thought in the back of a lot of shop owners' heads is, well, I get a lot of customers that send a lot of people to us. Well, you know what? Their intention might be doing that. When a customer leaves your shop and they're thrilled with your service, you did a great job, your advisor did a great job, your price was under the estimate. When they walk out the door, they will be thinking they're going to tell the world about you. But the reality of it is, that's not going to be the case. And you know why as well as I do. The reason that they're not going to tell the world about you is because as soon as they put their keys in the ignition, as soon as their car starts, they're going to forget about you and they're going to think about their life, their job, their family, their weekend, and everything else. The only time they will think about you is under one of two occasions. One, when they have a need with their automobiles, or two, the conversation comes up somewhere about auto repair. Other than that, odds are they're not going to recommend you. So how do you turn your top customers into songbirds? Well, here's what you need to do. And I'm actually going to give you a little role play and show you how easy this is. Number one, you got to give them the tools that they'll need to refer people to you. Number two, you got to give them very, very, very specific directions on how to use those tools. Number three, you need to give a clear call to action with the deadline. Now, you're probably wondering, how in the world do you do all of that? Now, I know that you can't see me. I got the camera up on this end, and anyways, I'm in my office, and I'm not behind the service counter in an auto repair business. So here's what I'm going to imagine that you do. Imagine you're just a fly on the wall, and you're at my auto repair shop, and you're standing off to the side, and you see me at a service counter, and you see me talking to a customer, and it's a point of car delivery. And this is what I say to the customer. Hey, Larry, before you scoot out of here, do you have just another minute or two? Yeah, sure, Bob, I do. What's up? Well, Larry, I know that you've been coming to us for about 5 years now, and I got to tell you, you're a pleasure. Everybody that works here, I absolutely enjoy your company. Every time you come in, it always puts a smile on their face to see you. And we're a growing company. We just added another tech, and we're looking for more customers. And ideally, Larry, and very candidly, I'd love to have more customers just like you. So, Larry, here's what I'm going to do. And then at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out 2 business cards, and I'm going to write a note on the back of them. Well, he's still standing there at the service counter. He's not going to know what I'm doing, but he's going to see me writing something on the back of 2 business cards. And then I'll say this. Larry, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these 2 business cards and write a little note here on the back. Larry, here's what I want to do. I want to give you these 2 cards. And if you take a look at it, each one of these cards entitles whoever the bearer is of this card to a complimentary oil service here to the service. Now, I know that you work in the accounting firm over on Elm Street, and I'm sure that there are a lot of guys and gals that you work with that are like-minded to you, and who knows, maybe they would like to find a place to take good care of their cars. So when you get back to work today, if you could be so kind as to give each one of these cards to somebody there that you know that you feel is somebody could really benefit from something like this. If you give them one of these cards, the way that they're going to benefit is they're going to get a complimentary oil service worth $79.95, whatever the price is, at absolutely no charge. The way you're going to benefit is you're going to be the hero by giving them a valuable gift. And the way that we're going to win here at Elite Auto Repair is when they come in, we're going to obviously do everything we can do to meet with their expectations. And if they're really pleased, then we're going to cross our fingers and hope and say a little prayer that they'll come back and visit us again. Now I'm going off record. Now you give them the 2 business cards and they walk out, and you gave them the tools, the cards that they need. You told them what to do with them and when they get back to work, and you gave them a clear deadline, a call to action with a deadline. So now those cards are not going to hopefully get tucked into their wallet or purse. Hopefully they'll remain like in their hand or on their car seat. When they get to the office, they're going to be anxious to give these cards out. And you know what else is going to happen? When they're handing out these cards, you know as well as I do, they're not just going to say, oh, here's a complimentary oil service. They are going to sing your song at the same time. They're going to say, hey, Larry, who takes care of your car? Well, I go to Mike at Mike's Auto Repair. You know what? Have you ever heard of Elite Auto Repair? You need to go here. Here's a card. They give it to me. You're going to love them. I've been going to them. Karen's been going to them for years and years. They're wonderful people. Ladies and gentlemen, it will not cost you a dime to get this guy standing in front of you. The worst case scenario, mind you, is if none of those cards ever turned into customers coming into you. Worst case scenario, you got your customer out there singing your song to at least a couple different people. So this is an absolute runaway winner. Everybody that I've shared it with has absolutely loved it. So don't hesitate on this one, all right? That's method number 2. Method number 3, put a face to a name. You're probably wondering, what's that all about, right? Okay, you might, if you do have something to write with, you might want to make a note of this, all right? there's an expression that I've used for years, and it says, people do business with people, not with businesses. This is the way people are wired. They need to know who you are. You need to humanize your business. You need to do that. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story before I bring up this next slide. A long time ago, maybe 20 years ago or so, a fella here in Southern California had an auto repair business, and his car counts weren't what they needed to be. And he said, Cooper, can we go to lunch sometime? I'd like to chat about this. And I said, you bet. And went up to visit with him, and he said, hey, let's go across the street. Let's have lunch. And he said, do you mind if my service manager comes with me? And I said, yeah, that'd be fine. And we actually went to a little like a Denny's kind of a restaurant that was probably less than an eighth of a mile away from his facility. Now, this is a guy that's been in business for probably 10 or 15 years at that time. Now, I'll remind you, we're at a restaurant that's an eighth of a mile away. And we're sitting in there in that restaurant, and I'll never forget, I asked the shop owner, I says, I got a question for you. You said you're struggling with car counts, right? He said, yeah. I says, how many people do you think work in this restaurant? And I'll never forget the answer that he gave me. He said, well, Bob, if you consider all shifts, maybe 60 or so. I said, I got another question for you. Of those 60 people that work here, how many of them know you? And he paled, he turned white. He said, I'd be blessed if it was one. I said, well, do you realize the tragedy that we're talking about? Do you realize what's going on? And his manager was sitting there, and he was sort of caught off guard with it as well. Now, watch where the story goes. About that moment, just about that moment, young gal walks up with a coffee pot in her hand. And she says, would you like to start off with some coffee? And we all agree. And I look at the gal and just trying to start a conversation. I says, miss, I got a question for you. Do you mind telling me what kind of car do you have? And she said something like, I got a little Toyota or whatever it was. I says, great. I says, out of curiosity, how is that car working for you? And she looked at me sort of puzzled and surprised. She said, why are you asking? I says, well, these two guys that I'm a luncher with, they have an auto repair business, and it's just across the road here, and they do an amazing job. And she was like caught off guard, and she says, you got to be kidding. She says, boy, the timing is perfect. She says, I actually got a problem with the clutch in my car, and I have it at another shop, and they called this morning and told me it's going to cost this much money, and do you guys work? So where are we going with this? Well, here's a gal that before the lunch was over, you know what? They were contacted. They were doing what they needed to do to give a second opinion to this gal and get her car in. So long-winded statement, but look at how important this is. Here's a restaurant right across the street from them. Nobody knows who they are. So what you need to do is you need to put a face with a name, what each and every one of you need to do. And trust me, this is not going to make you as uncomfortable as some of you might think that it's going to be. Set a goal to pass out 12 business cards a month off premise. Off premise. So I'm asking you to pass out about 3 cards a week. What does that mean? That means next weekend, you're going to be in Home Depot. You're going to be looking for some plumbing repair equipment or something like that. Somebody in Home Depot is going to help you out. One of the guys that works there is going to be help you out. Then all that you need to do is something like this. Hey, Larry, you've been a big help today. I don't know who takes care of your car, but here's my business card. My name is Bob Cooper, and I'm with the Elite Auto Repair, and you got a friend in the auto repair business. If you ever have any questions about automobiles or service, give me a call. You got a friend in the business. Now, what does this mean? This means he will remember you. This means you now become the authority. If you start passing out business cards in your community, watch how your business will start to thrive. Because now, if you don't do what I'm asking you to do, then you know what? The next time you go to the grocery store, consider this. You might be in a line at the checkout, and there are going to be 3 people ahead of you, maybe 3 people behind you, something like that, whatever the number is. And odds are none of those people are going to know who you are, or in many cases, with many of you, nobody's going to know who you are. So here you are surrounded by people. You run a great ethical business. You care about people, and they don't even know who you are. So how would we expect them to come to you when they don't even know who you are? So cardinal rule. People do business with people, not with businesses. When they talk to you offline, at Home Depot, in the grocery store, at the sporting goods store, wherever it is, you become the credible expert. They're not anxious. They don't feel like they're not fearful of you. They don't feel like you have them in a compromising position because their car is broke. They will believe anything or everything that you tell them because you now are the authority. So put 12 of those cards in your pocket, would you please, to each and every one of you. And make a goal to pass those out by the time the month is over. Make a goal to pass those out. Watch what happens with your business if you do what I'm asking you to do. Method number 4, incentivize the behavior that you're looking for. There's an expression in psychology that says any behavior that is rewarded will continue, and any behavior that is not continually rewarded will cease to exist. So what we need to do is we need to incentivize the behavior that we're looking for. So you have to ask yourself, each and every one of you that are shop owners, are your technicians referring customers to you? And if not, why not? Now, if you suspect that they're doing side jobs, then you have to ask yourself, why are they doing side jobs? Why aren't they finding greater opportunity in working with you, which is a subject in itself? But if they're not doing side jobs, and if they're not recommending people to you, maybe the reason that they're not doing that is there's no reward for them. So one of the things that you might want to consider doing, and it's really easy to do, call all of your technicians together. Make sure that they all have business cards, as all of the people that work in your company should have business cards. Everybody that works in your company should have business cards. It's going to make them feel important. It's going to make them feel a part of your team. It's going to make them feel as though they got some tenure with your company. It's the right thing to do in the first place, to give everybody business cards. Now, call all your technicians together and tell them something like this. Hey guys, the reason I wanted to get together with you is we're a growing company. And as you guys know, we invest money in marketing to bring in customers. And you know what? I'd much rather see that money go in your pocket than I had with the print publications and other companies that we turn to market our company. So here's the offer that I would like to make to each and every one of you. Anytime a new customer comes in and they tell us that they were referred to us by you, this is what I'll do for you. I will give you, as an example, I'm just going to give you an example number, okay? I will give you 4% of whatever that customer spends with us during the first 90 days. That means if the customer comes in and we do an oil service on their car, and brakes as an example, you get 4% of that. And during that inspection, if we find that they need other services done, but they don't have time to do it, if they bring it back within 90 days, you'll get 4% of that as well. Now, guys, not only do you get 4%, but you're also going to be assigned the vehicle. So you get the vehicle to work on, another opportunity for you, and you also get this added incentive as well. So this is a runaway winner too. You need to get your technicians to recommend business to you, and obviously we need to reward them for doing it. This is a really cool way of doing it. It really, really, really is. If you're wondering, and some shop owners will say, well, Bob, I don't know. The technician's going to get an added incentive for based on the sales role. Then maybe they'll recommend services that don't need to be sold. Then that's not a matter, or that's not a problem with the incentive program. That's a problem with the person. If you have the right guys and the right gals and they have the right ethics, then that should not be a worry of yours. Lastly, this kind of incentive only obviously goes to the technicians. It does not go to the advisors or any of the support staff. Reason being, they should not have this added incentive for bringing people in. That's their job. It's the job of the advisors and the support people to bring customers in. It's not the primary role or responsibility of a technician to do that. So make sure everybody has business cards, offer them an incentive, and watch what happens. The other thing that you might want to do with this incentive program is I've learned over the years that if there are not deadlines or sunset provisions put into place, sometimes it's hard to get things started. So you might want to tell them something like, look, this is what I'm going to try between now and the end of the year. At the end of the year, on December 31st, I'll take a look at the results that we got. And if it looks like it's something that works for you and for us, and we'll continue doing it. If not, we'll just let it go. So let's see what happens between now and the end of the year. Now you're actually giving them an additional incentive to, when they're out there at the ball games and everything else, and meeting with people, to pass out business cards and recommend that people come and spend some time with you. So at this point, I've been the chatty guy, probably too chatty. So I would love to answer any questions that I may be able to answer, that I have the ability to answer for you guys and gals. And if not, we'll certainly follow up with you. All that you need to do is go to the question panel over on the right-hand side, type in the question, and one of the gentlemen that works with us here at the office, he's monitoring this live time as we speak. He's actually then, because my eyes don't allow me to read the screen that easily, that's why I'm asking him to do it, because of the resolution. He'll pass those on to me, and then I'll give those a read, and I'll answer those as well as we can. Okay, here's one interesting. It says, what are your thoughts about offering customers a referral commission for customers? Well, this is sort of like great question. I alluded to this earlier. Maybe I wasn't clear enough, but I'm really not one to recommend that. I believe that your existing customers should not have to be incentivized to recommend their friends to you. It not only could it cause them to feel as though they're selling their friends or cheapening the experience, but if they don't believe in you enough to really recommend people to you, then that dollar value is really not what you're looking for. Here's the second one that came in. What budget? What budget for advertising? Okay, well, I can tell you this. The top shops in America that we work with are typically around 5%. Sometimes we'll see it as low as 3 to 4%, but usually those guys that are as low as 3 to 4%, they invest a tremendous amount in the customer experience, which obviously brings in more of the right kind of customers. So that's somewhat of a marketing strategy as well. So 5% is a number that you could grab onto nationally that could work for almost all of you. There are a couple exceptions to that. If you got a business that's upside down, needs turnaround, then the budget's going to be substantially higher. In many cases like that, the budget could be as high as 15 or 20%. If you have a transmission shop, the budget's going to be higher as well, because there you may get to referrals, but you do not get to repeat customers that you get in general repair, because you don't do all the scheduled maintenances and all. So that's a reasonable number. Transmission shops 7%, 8%, sometimes as high as 10%. The other thing, the other shops also know, the top shops also, it's worth a mention, they also know really how to market. They really do know how to do that. And they know how to deliver really extraordinary service to their customers. And this sort of ties into that 5% that I was telling you about. What we don't want to see happen with a business like yours is for you to be nothing more than a car wash where people come in and they go in and they never come back. We want your customers to continue to come back. So how do you how do you make that happen? Well, one of the things that we've done that I'm proud to let you know about, one of the things that we've done at Elite is we've worked really super hard at studying companies like Apple and Southwest Airlines and Amazon, all the world leading companies. And we've actually hired professors that teach the MBA programs at leading universities in marketing. And we've hired these people so we can better understand what marketing is all about and how do you get from here to there with the customers. So we do know how to get the phone to ring. We know how to do that. And we know how to create raving fans as well. And interestingly enough, it's not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. It's really just getting down to the principles. There are certain principles that you really have to live by in order to market a really great auto repair, build a really great business, or auto repair, any kind of business. There are certain kind of principles that you really have to live by. And number two, boy, you got to deliver on that promise. That promise meaning the expectation that the customer has in their mind. You got to deliver on that promise. You got to have that experience to be an experience that really makes them go, this is an amazing place. Years ago, more years ago than I like to think about, probably about 25 or 30 years ago, a dear friend of mine was way up the food chain with General Motors. And he had told me, he said, Bob, he says, one of the things that we know at GM is customers do not compare their service experience with us in the service bays to other dealerships or independents. They don't do that. And I was sort of caught off guard with it. And I said, what do you mean by that, Tom? He says, well, what they really do is they compare their service experience to their most recent service experience. So what does that mean? That means if a customer leaves a Starbucks on the way to work and then they come to your shop on the way to work to drop off their car, they're going to compare the service that they received from you and your team to what they just recently received, good or bad, at Starbucks or through any other company. So as we all know, it's becoming more and more competitive in the service industry, all business models. So because of that, guys and gals, you got to make sure that you got the right people on your team. You got to have the gifted people, the people that have the right attitude, aptitude, and ethics. You got to make sure that you have the right procedures in place, and you just got to do all that you need to do to really wow that customer and turn them into somebody that really will be a raving fan. So why don't we do this, guys? It looks like if I'm not careful, we're going to get behind. There are a couple other questions here that look like they're really not related to. Here's one this is an interesting one. This sort of ties back to what I was telling you about the business cards when it comes And to your passing those out, I'll tell you a little bit of story that will answer this question. The question is, how do you get this started with business cards in your community? One of the shops that I took over here in San Diego was a company that went bankrupt, and they just couldn't get the leads in. So I went in through the Internal Revenue Service. I bought all the assets from the company, took over the lease on the building, and rebranded it and did everything that we needed to do. And there was a restaurant similar to a Denny's. It was probably about 2 miles away from it. And I mean, from day one, when that store opened up, from day one, I walked into that little restaurant and I sat there at the table, and the gal came up with coffee, similar to the story that I told you earlier. And she said, would you like to start off with some coffee? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. And I looked at her and I says, by the way, I got a question for you. I said, how's your car operating? She says, what do you mean by that? I said, well, specifically, how's the transmission operating in your car? And she pulled back a little bit and said, I don't understand what you're asking. And I said, well, whatever vehicle you drive, do you mind telling me what kind of vehicle you drive? And she told me what it was. And I said, how about the transmission? Does this seem to be working okay? And she said, yeah, well, it seems to be. And then I handed her a business card and I smiled and I said, the reason that I'm asking is my name is Bob Cooper and I'm in the transmission business. And if you ever have a transmission problem, I'm going to hope to be the guy that you call. Well, she actually laughed, poured the coffee, went in the back, took the order in the back. She probably told everybody in the back that there was this moron sitting out there on the counter or in the booth. But she came back and everything, the breakfast and everything else. Well, wouldn't you know it, the following day I stopped in again. And I sat there again, and she came up and she brought out the coffee. And I said, so did you have a chance to check the transmission? Where am I going with this story? Well, wouldn't you know it, within a matter of a week, she knew who I was. She knew the business that I was in. And within just a matter of a couple of months, you know what? Almost everybody that worked in that restaurant knew who I was and what I did for a living. People do business with people. This is the way they operate. So the more you can get your name out there, the more you can relate to people, the more you're successful you're going to be. Here's one that says this comment. This comment says from one of the viewers today, I leave a business card with my tip at all restaurants. Now, I'm just going to use the first name for the purposes of privacy of the person that was kind enough to leave this. And his name is Mark. Mark, just to go on record, that's an awesome recommendation on your part. So that comes from our friend Mark. Wherever you are on this planet, Mark leaves a business card with the tips at all restaurants. Mark, that's not a good recommendation. That's a great recommendation. Guys, it's about 38 minutes before or after the hour, so I don't want to get behind. Stick around a little bit. I think you're going to like what you hear, what we're going to be able to do for you. Let's talk about the next steps that you can take. If I could get my mouse to work again, I'll be in a good place here. Here we go. Okay, number one. First thing that I'm going to ask you to do is take at least one of the tips that you heard today and even consider Mark's about leaving a business card with the tip. Take at least one and apply it immediately. Apply it immediately. Watch, you're going to be so thrilled with the results that you get. Number two, take advantage of Elite's industry acclaimed complimentary tips for shop owners. This is so cool. Look how this works. You sign up for our complimentary tips, and then what you're going to receive every couple of weeks, you're going to receive a business tip via email. It's going to come directly from us at Elite, and I am confident you're really going to like what you learn. These tips are typically tips that you're going to be able to apply immediately and get results from. So the cool thing about it is, for whatever reason, if you said, hey, these tips, I don't need this, or it doesn't make sense, then all that you need to do is simply unsubscribe. So what you're going to get today, I presume by the end of today, you're going to get an email from our friends at Repair Shop Websites. And in there, one of the things that you'll find is there will be a link that will allow you to click on that link, sign up for complimentary tips. I have every reason to believe you're really going to like what you discover. You're really going to like it. Number three, take advantage of a limited time offer that we're making now on Elite's Rapid Results Marketing Package. Let me take a minute and share this with you. This is brand new, nothing like this, nothing like this anywhere in the industry. I think you're going to really like what you hear as well. It's called Rapid Results, and it's the industry's, clearly, it's the most affordable and effective car account package. Nothing out there like this anywhere. What this service does is it provides you with the training, it provides you with a lot of really great tools, and a lot of really great support as well. Take a look at this. The clients that are on our Rapid Results service that take advantage of this package, what they get is one-on-one training from one of the top shop owners in America. What does this mean? This means that you're not just going to be dealing with a talking head or something like that. You're going to be working one-on-one and being trained by one of the top shop owners in America. So if you're looking at your car accounts and you don't like what you see, if there's been a trend and they're going the wrong way, Well, and you say, you know what, I'd like to get some cars in here and sooner than later, and I got a tech over here that unfortunately I'm not able to give him all the hours that he needs. You know what, we can help. You're going to be working with one-on-one, not in a classroom environment, one-on-one. You're going to be on the phone or a web meeting with this guy every week. You're going to absolutely love it. Actually, it's a 5-week program. You're going to absolutely love this. What else are we going to do? Well, one of the things that he's going to do is he's going to take a look at all of your marketing strategies as well, which is really cool. That means you provide him with all that you're doing, everything that you have. He will not only look at it, but our team will look at it as well, and he will give you a professional appraisal, what you're doing really well, and things that you might want to tune up or you might want to consider doing a little bit differently as well. Beyond that, you're going to get industry acclaimed marketing tools and resources that really are unlike any other. I mean, the tools that you're going to be provided with, they're going to help you bring in new customers, get better on the phone when those calls do come in, close more of those calls, getting those customers to come in, tracking their performance, tracking the performance of your advisor, tracking the performance of your marketing efforts. The tools that you're going to receive with this package is really, it's just too long to list on a short little event like this. It really is. You're going to get weekly guidance to better ensure your success. What does that mean? Well, not only are you going to get the trainer for one of the top shop owners in America, not only is he going to train you on what you need to do to bring in more cars, but the other thing, and the right customers, but the other thing he's going to do is every week he's going to be on the phone with you, talking to you about your car counts. Okay, how many new customers did you get in this week? Where did they come from? And how many of your repeat customers did we get in this week? Let's talk about those too. He's going to be on the phone with you every week, helping you through this process. So by the end of just 5 short weeks, your car counts are going to be up. You're going to be pleased with that. There's no question in my mind about that. You're going to have a far greater understanding of how to really professionally market your company. And you're going to have tools and information that you're going to be able to carry with you literally for a lifetime. Now, good gets better, and it really does, because what we're able to offer to you guys and gals is a $100 savings off of this package. It does expire August 18th. Now, what I can tell you is because of the demand and because of the complexity of this package, we're not going to be able to just jump right in and start helping you within the next week or two. It's probably going to be about 2 weeks, maybe as far out as 3 weeks before we'll able to get you up and running and get you started with the trainer. But what I can tell you is that if you contact our office and if you get on our list and you say, you know what, I want to talk to somebody, I am interested in rapid results. If you reach out to our office before the 18th and connect with them, let them know that you want to go on the list for rapid results, for interest in rapid results, then I personally, as a president of this company, will ensure that you receive a $100 savings off the investment on that package. You won't like that package. You'll absolutely love it. And I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, there is nothing anywhere in the industry like this package. Nothing anywhere. So right now it's just about a quarter before, and I've been the chatty guy. Unfortunately for you poor souls, I haven't closed my mouth since we started. And what I would love to be able to do is thank each and every one of you for joining us. And Martin, I know that you're still on board. I would like to take this as an opportunity to thank you again for giving us the opportunity of presenting to your audience. And I'd love to be able to turn this platform back over to you.
That sounds great. And thank you so much, Bob. We appreciate the kind words and definitely the great presentation. I always especially love the practical tips, being able to provide things that folks can hang up the phone or close the computer and hopefully go right out there and implement later today or perhaps tomorrow. Certainly a number of practical tips that can happen that way. I think those are so valuable, and we definitely appreciate you sharing that with the audience today. I would encourage you all participants, if you haven't checked out Elite yet, Bob mentioned some of those ways to engage with them. Would highly encourage you to do so. As he mentioned, we will have a follow-up email that will either go out a little bit later today or tomorrow morning, if it's not today, to all of you that are on the webinar, and that'll give you the information that he mentioned as well. And again, I would highly encourage you to check out the resources and check them out and the various programs and consulting engagements that they have there. Just a fantastic organization. Want to thank you all for participating. If you have any questions in the future, or there's any way we can help you, please always let us know. We're here to help you in those ways, and hope you will continue on and just have a fantastic day. One more thank you to Bob Cooper and Elite for putting together this great presentation today. And with that, I will say to you all, have a wonderful day. We hope to hear from you soon. Bye now.